second week here at Beneath the Surface, and we are joined this week by Tom from Swim Superb. Swim Superb are based in Lancashire. Thanks for joining us, Tom. And I'll let you. I'll pass over to you to tell us about what Swim Superb is and what you do.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. So yeah, we are based in Chorley. Our office is based in Chorley, but we cover the whole of Lancashire, so pretty much the whole of Lancashire, should I say? So we have 3 pools that we teach at in Chorley. We've got one in Preston, and then another one that we've just started at in Garstang as well. So kind of Preston, Garstang, Chorley area. That's where we cover at the moment. And yeah, in terms of what we do, we're a swim school essentially. So we teach from babies all the way through to adults, and we have different teachers, obviously, that work on behalf of us. We've got a swim coordinator, and yeah, our passion is swimming and teaching and delivering.
Brilliant. So why did you set up Swim Superb? What made you say is it something you've always done, or something that you knew you wanted to do from the start? Or
yeah, absolutely. So my mum's been a swimming teacher and involved in swimming for over 35 years. So I've been swimming as long as I can remember. She actually had me like floating around in one of the inflatable rings when she was teaching. We obviously don't do that now, but yeah, it's so as kind of as long as I've known, I've been involved with swimming, and then I started actually teaching alongside my mum, and then kind of progressed to taking my own lessons. So my mum Diane, she's still in the business with us, and my wife Jess. So Jess got into swimming teaching around 7 years ago, and she was involved in childcare, and she was finding it quite tough, just finding the industry quite tough in general. And so I said, well, why don't you do your swimming qualification? She's great with kids, and she's not, she'll admit herself, she certainly wasn't the strongest swimmer when she came. I actually ended up teaching her and giving her some lessons before she went on a course, but she's an amazing teacher, and yeah, she brings a lot to the team. So yeah, we got a lot of experience between us.
Yeah, brilliant. So why would you say learning how to swim is such an important life skill?
Well, for me, it's the most important, and the reason being is that it can potentially save your life, can't it? And it's just so important because there's so many people who potentially don't have that opportunity to learn to swim, but it's that it's opening up opportunities for other things as well. But the importance of being safe around the water, knowing what to do if you got into trouble, that no one should take for granted. Really, is such an important thing to be able to learn. There's loads of other activities that you can do, isn't there, for kids and adults? But for me, it is like the most important. I mean, I am biased, but yeah.
Yeah. I see we've just had a question asked about can you have adult swimming lessons? So that kind of brings us on to a question I was going to ask anyway. So is there anybody who is unable to learn how to swim, whether there's any disabilities, whether you're too old, too young, phobias? Is there anyone who's unable to learn how to swim?
So unless you've got a physical disability that doesn't allow you to get in the pool, and even then you've got hoists and stuff like that. The great thing about swimming is that it is open to everyone. It's inclusive, and yeah, anyone can learn to swim. I really enjoy. I kind of specialize in teaching adults with a fear of water, so aquaphobia. I have quite a few clients and plenty of people that I've taught previously. And it's a really, really interesting area because a lot of people feel that actually I can't learn to swim. I've maybe tried it before, or I've got this fear and it's just stopping me from learning. But you can, with the right instruction and actually knowing, with the right guidance and advice, and knowing why that fear is triggered, and working through. We work through like a step-by-step process, which keeps the adult in control all the time, so they have that ability to learn at their level, and it's not that force, which never works with someone who's got a fear of water. So we do it in a very gradual way, but work to where that client's at that point, if you will. But in terms of other things as well, obviously, the water's great for physical disabilities and helping with physiotherapy, that kind of thing. It can be really calming for children or adults with SEN. The sensation of being under the water. A lot of children with autism who are on the spectrum, they love that sensation of just being under the water. It's like a calming effect for them. So yeah, one of the schools that we teach at has a hydrotherapy pool, and all their kind of pupils from the school use it on a daily basis. So yeah, it's great when there's the funding available for that kind of thing as well.
Definitely. And I saw on your page a few weeks ago that I don't know whether she may have gone off to university now, but an instructor who spoke sign language.
So Beth, yeah, we're very lucky to have Beth. Beth's still with us, thankfully. We did have another instructor, Emil, who's headed off to uni. So we're sad for Emil to leave, but hopefully he'll be back to do bits of cover and stuff. With regards to Beth, yeah, Beth's our swim coordinator, so she specialises in teaching children with SEN. She's BSL trained, so she knows sign language, and she actually signs in the pool to our swimmers. So we have our specialist SEN classes, which she teaches, and we kind of structure it based on what the group needs as a whole, but it's structured towards children with special educational needs. And yeah, it's really nice to watch. We did a video actually a while back on Facebook of her signing to a child in a class, and yeah, it's just really. I personally wish that I'd trained as BSL. I've not had a chance to yet, but it is something I really want to do.
Yeah, that was very interesting to me, that, and all the SEN things that you do is for me, swimming is something that is open to everybody. Anybody can learn to swim. Now I know I have family members who say they're too old to swim now, which I think is not correct.
No, never too old.
Definitely. So anybody can learn how to swim. Is there an age that you would say is too young to swim, or that you would say is a good age to start swimming?
I mean, get anything we say from 3 months upwards, because the babies are then able to kind of hold themselves up in the water, hold their neck up in the water, if you will. If they're at that stage where they're kind of newborn, they've not got the strength in their neck to be able to kind of support themselves, if you will, and hold the neck up without hold the head up, should I say, without the face going in. So we recommend from 3 months, but we have our baby swim classes from the age of 3 months, and then we teach the whole range. So we go all the way up to adults. We've had, I think my oldest client was probably started swimming when she was around 75. So there's no barrier in terms of that. But from going back to your original question, from 3 months, get them in from 3 months, get them enjoying the pool, and then you've got that affinity with the water right from the start. And there's so many benefits to having babies in the water. They're bonding with the parent. It actually helps the social development. It helps strengthen the muscles, the heart, and the lungs. So there's all sorts of benefits to getting them in nice and early.
Definitely, that's good. That's very interesting. 3 months old. That seems, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have never thought of that, but if
So
they,
we do loads. So there's lots of different holds that we do in the water with them. We can get them moving through kicking, through paddling, and even at age, they're building stuff like their grip reflex. So they're holding the wall, and they're getting used to right from that age. If you've got them holding the wall at 3 months, and we use word association to, we kind of say to the little ones, hold on, hold on. So they go to the wall, they hold on, they monkey themselves along. So they're monkeying themselves along, and they're associating that with safety. And they know then to go to the wall. So we're teaching them to go back to the wall. When they come into the water, again, we turn them, get them back to the wall. We have little ones from kind of 1 upwards that can do little pushes off, maybe to so that a little bit of underwater work where they might push between teacher and mum or dad. And we have 2-year-olds who'll jump in, they'll come up, resurface, swim back to the side, they'll float on the back on their own. So yeah, it's the earlier you can get them in, the better, because they don't then have that time to build up a fear or a worry.
yeah. But on the other scale, never too old.
Exactly, never too old either. As I said, and also going back to the fear of water, it's never, even if you've had maybe bad experience in water, and this isn't to criticize anyone else in terms of other teachers, but sometimes they don't have the training required, and that can then actually intensify that fear a little bit more. So finding someone who's got that experience and is then able to, when you find the right teacher, you can learn when they understand that need, if you will. So anyone who does have a fear of water, I'm qualified through the Institute of Aquaphobia. So that's it's a good place to start. Have a look at the information they've got there. But yeah, definitely not too old.
Wonderful. That takes me on to another question I had, where if somebody's looking at where they can learn to swim, what should they look for? So certain qualifications, certain setups, anybody who's insured or with specific organisations or accredited. What can they look for to make sure that they're getting a safe and qualified swimming instructor?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the Chorley area, come and join us. We can certainly help with that. Or obviously Preston and the Garstang area, the areas that we cover, we'd be happy to kind of answer any questions that you had. If you're not from this area, then also drop us an email and we can help recommend places. I mean, in terms, it's different for every part, but you essentially want a swim school that's inclusive. You want a swim school that can cater for your specific needs. So as I said, if it's a fear of water, you need to get someone who's got that experience. If it's maybe you're wanting to learn from crawl to do a triathlon or open water swimming, again, you need someone with that skill set. It's a different skill set. SEN lessons, you need to make sure that the environment's right. So is it a warm pool? If it's a noisy, cold pool, is your child going to get the best from their lesson? Probably not. So you need to look for the right environment for yourself or your child. But essentially, a swim school that really kind of focuses on water safety and developing a child's skills or an adult's skills, kind of the whole range. So what we really focus on is building the whole range of a swimmer. And what I mean by that is not just teaching someone to learn to swim on the front, on the back, which is obviously the most important thing, but actually the other skills, so rotational skills, being able to float on the back, and being able to do a self-rescue, treading water, all the different skills combined. It's not just a case of, you don't want to be a one-trick pony, being able to just swim on your front and back, because that might not necessarily give you the skills if you got into an emergency situation.
Yeah. So what level of swimming would you say that people should aim for to be able to stay safe in water? Is there a certain amount of lengths they should be able to swim, a certain amount of time? What level of competency should they be able to should they be aiming at to go? Okay, I'm safe.
Yeah, I mean, the water's always kind of an unknown, especially open water. So you're never 100% safe, even if you're the best swimmer in the world. You've always got to respect the water. However, as kind of a good guide, we want our swimmers to get to the end of stage 7. If they came to us and were thinking maybe of leaving, we would say certainly like stage 6. So at stage 6, your child should be able to swim 25 meters front and back, and that should be a mixture of either breaststroke, front crawl, or backstroke, butterfly as well. It's not from a kind of, in terms of from like a competitive swimming standpoint, butterfly is important, not as important from a water safety kind of perspective, if you will. So if a swimmer was saying they couldn't do the butterfly over 20 meters, if they were strong at front crawl, strong at backstroke and breaststroke, that would be okay. You'd be looking at being able to swim tread water for at least 30 seconds comfortably with the head above the water, being able to float on the back, which we call float to live. So if you were to fall into the water and you couldn't return to the side, float on your back, do that for 60 seconds. And then you've got all the other skills, which I talked about earlier. So your rotational skills, being able to get from the front to the back. So being able to, what we call a log roll, swimming on the back, rotating to the front, and then the same swimming on the front, rotating on to the back. So having kind of a really good range of skills. I would say that probably there's not enough of swimmers that get to that point. And actually, if you have a child yourself and you're thinking about pulling them out earlier than that stage, they've not quite got all the skills. So it's almost like comparing to learning to drive about 80% of your ability. You want to get to that level where you're really competent and you're safe then.
Definitely. So we see quite a lot of comments about how if people say, oh, there's a lot of people who can't swim, and a lot of people say, well, so what do I need swimming for? I think statistics have just come out recently that there's 9 million Brits that can't swim. That's basically 1 in 3 people. So what do you think about those statistics about how many people can't swim, and what's your opinion and advice for that?
Yeah, I think as a nation we're doing better to promote swimming, but I think the importance of it, sometimes the people that sometimes I speak to, and obviously we get to talk to parents a lot, and they buy into what we're doing. But there will be people who I speak to, and when you're just getting in general conversation with people and say, "Oh, I'm like, this is what I do. This is my business." It's like, "Oh, I can swim," and when you talk to them a little bit more, a lot of people as well say that they can swim, but might not have all the skills, which I would personally class as being able to be really safe in the water. So they might be able to swim, might be able to do a little bit of breaststroke with maybe the head up, but if they were to, if they were to kind of fall in the water and go under, would they have the skills then to be able to get themselves back to the side? So it's about having all those skills. But essentially, as I said, like Swim England do great work, and the STA do a lot of good work on promoting swimming. But we need more teachers coming through. We need more swimming teachers coming through in this country. Which again, those two, the Swim England and the STA, are doing a lot of good work. The discounting courses, they're trying to push that. But I think the key things with that are making it a career for people so that they can do it as a career, which we try and do with our teachers. We try and kind of build up to maybe linking it with some admin work and things like that, and really kind of just promoting that side, because you can't, if there's not enough teachers to teach the kids or the adults, then yeah, it needs to be. And the other thing is obviously pools as well. We had quite a lot of pools close after COVID, so we need to do something about more pools readily available for schools, school swimming, that kind of thing, so that kids and adults are given that opportunity to learn to swim.
Definitely. And as I say, for the importance for swimming, we always say is we're an island nation. We're surrounded by water. We have thousands of miles of inland waterways, canals, rivers. We have quarries and lakes and reservoirs. We're never far away from water. And a lot of the people who end up drowning never intended to go into the water. They weren't intended to swim. So just being able to have the ability to have a chance of self-rescue, but if you do inadvertently end up in the water, is quite an important skill.
Absolutely, yeah, so important. Absolutely, and interestingly, just on that point, I worked in Australia. I was lucky enough to work in Australia for 8 months at a swim school out there. So I lived there in Australia. This was a while back now, but the difference is huge, and I know they're exposed to water even more so than we are in the UK. But swimming in Australia, there's so much more opportunity, and people have pools at the house and stuff like that. So the climate's obviously different over there, and there's more. You can go for a swim in the sea or the river. The climate allows you to do that, but yeah, I think over there the contrast when I came back, I was like, this is a big contrast. It is kind of a little bit of an issue in this country. They have a lot of pools over there, so I think we need more pools essentially. Yeah.
Definitely. That is one thing that we get told quite a bit when we say, why are people not learning how to swim? Why don't they take that up? And there's a couple of big ones. The two main ones are the lack of facilities, swimming pools closing, and also the cost of lessons. So what do you think we can possibly do about that for people who are struggling to be able to afford lessons and may not have the facilities in their area?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky question in the sense that lessons are so important, and it's getting the right instruction, and obviously making sure that you're getting value for money first of all, because you want to be finding a swim school or a provider that is suiting your needs and making sure that there is progression there. So finding the right provider is really important to start with. I think there needs to be more funding available. There's a charity called Level Water, which is an amazing charity which provides for people who can't maybe afford swimming lessons, to be able to have swimming lessons. So that's really good. But essentially, I think we need more funding. There needs to be more of a focus on it. The schools have started to bring. I'm sure Becky mentioned this, but she's had a big role in getting what's the word I'm looking for? Having it on the curriculum in schools. So she's got water safety on the curriculum in schools, which is an amazing thing, and she's done great work to get that done. But there needs to be more of an awareness and the importance of lessons, and maybe getting that message across to parents as to how important it is to get your child to this level, and more funding for schools and for people who maybe not be able to afford lessons to be able to do it.
Yeah. You mentioned that it's water safety is now going mandatory onto the national curriculum. Do you teach theory as part of your lessons, and also what is the importance of the theory as well as the practical element?
Yeah, so good question. Essentially we try and cover the strokes, all your skills, and then the water safety is kind of, we cover that within our term, and our terms are anywhere between 12 and 16 weeks, depending on how they fall in the calendar. But we cover all our strokes, so your front crawl, backstroke, breaststroke, and butterfly, and then we've got all your skills, and then we're constantly sending that message out to the kids, safety. So we're really big on safety. So they're not, for example, they're not allowed to run around poolside. They've got to sit with the parents. They've got to stay away from the water until they're told by the teacher. So all those little things are kind of building towards respecting the water. We don't want them to be dipping their toes in, waiting for the lesson, or kind of messing on poolside, because it's although it is a fun environment, and absolutely it needs to be fun, they also need to respect that as well. So we try and get the message across with water safety questions in our lessons. We have a water safety theme every term, which we will cover water safety skills, and the kids can get a badge for that as well. So that will be things like what would we do if we fell into the water? Well, we'd either try and swim back to the side, or we would float on our back, or we would tread water. So we'd float on our back and shout for help, and we do little rescues as well. So we do the reach rescues, the shout and signal rescues, and the throw rescues. And we're teaching those kids to do them so that if they ever got themselves in that situation, they know, and there's that knowledge there as well. So it's not just about teaching them to swim. We do have that focus on water safety as well, which I think is really important.
Definitely, I think the big thing on the theory is very important here. We very often see that a lot of people don't know even about cold water shock and cold water incapacitation and things. And when I go back to my swimming education at school, it was treading water for 3 minutes in a nice warm swimming pool in my pajamas, and then diving for a brick. Thankfully, I had my parents. They were able to put me through swimming lessons, and I gained a lot of my swimming ability from that. But hopefully, fingers crossed, the national curriculum education is going to be a bit more involved than just what I ended up going through at school.
Yeah, it's certainly got better, as I said. It has got better. I know Becky does a lot of work going around schools and other places as well, educating people. We try and do that. We do free water safety talks as well, where we go into schools, and it's just it could you only need to get through to one of those kids, and it could potentially save their life. Just actually not knowing that they shouldn't be going into the pond and swimming in the pond, and actually sometimes the parent hasn't kind of put across that message, if you will, and reiterated that message constantly. So we don't want them to be scared of the water, but we also need to have that respect. That's really important.
Definitely. So quite often we talk about the swimming pools and open water. If somebody is competent swimming in a swimming pool, are they going to be safe in open water?
Not necessarily, no, because it's a completely different animal, as you'll know. So yes, they can enjoy swimming in open water, but again, you've got to be respectful of the open water. I kind of use a bit of a story that I've got here, and I used to work with a lady called Emma Brunning, who who's got her own open water swimming, and she coached a lot of triathletes, and she did a lot of work for the Great North Swim. So I used to help her out on what we call, it's kind of, so it was the week before the Great North Swim, and they come in and they just make sure they were comfortable and everything else. So the amount of people we got, bear in mind this was the week before, the amount of people who'd actually just got into a wetsuit for the first time and swam in open water was a little bit scary, because they'd never done it before, and some of these people were swimming and expecting to swim a mile in open water. So you've really got to be that. Again, that's not to put someone off, but you've really got to respect that actually there's different elements to open water. There's the waves, there's the swell, there's potential hidden dangers under the water. You've got all your currents and your rip tides if you're swimming in the sea. So even swimming in a wetsuit and the cold water shock, just getting in the water and not being used to that sensation of it being really cold, or swimming in a wetsuit, which makes you really buoyant. All those little things can make it quite a bit trickier if you're not used to it. However, you can learn again with the right instruction, and it's just having that that different skill set, if you will. I used to swim in open water. I used to do triathlons, and it took me, I would say, from someone who's had a competitive swimming background, swam all their life, I would say it took me about 6 months to really master open water skills and kind of sighting and things like that if you're doing a triathlon. So yeah, even as an experienced swimmer, it can take a while to adjust to swimming in the open water.
Definitely. I've just seen a question pop up, or a comment saying that I didn't know cold water shock could get you even in a wetsuit. From a diving point, because we do dive, if we're recreationally diving abroad in a wetsuit, how a wetsuit works is it allows water in, and then your body heat will warm up the water inside the suit. So when that water is still getting into your suit from the beginning. So cold water shocks are very quick, immediate response. If you get into your shower at home, and considering that your shower at home in the UK is approximately 13 degrees Celsius, if you've got a cold water shower on, and if you get in and you get that shock reflex, that's cold water shock, and that's 13 degrees. So a lot of the time throughout the UK, the water in open water is a lot less than that. So while a wetsuit does give you some buoyancy and it does give you some warmth, you can still get that shock response until your body heat warms up. On the diving point in the UK, we use dry suits, which are different to wetsuits. So instead of letting the water in and then your body heat warms the water, a dry suit doesn't let water in. So we're able to spend a lot longer in cold water in that dry suit because we're dry under that suit. So I hope that clears that up a little bit. You spoke about, Tom, that you did some teaching in Australia. Now, a lot of people go holidaying in Australia and other places, and they may be swimming at beaches. So a bit like open water, that has its own kind of dangers and worries as well, doesn't it? So again, if people can swim in a swimming pool, they still have to be careful and not get complacent at the beach, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's your basic stuff like staying in an area where you're comfortable. Don't go too far out. Make sure you're not drifting away from the shore. And just going back to your point there about the wetsuit as well, in terms of what I meant, there'll be wild swimming as well. So people will go wild swimming without a wetsuit on, and if they're not used to it, and they've not accustomed themselves to do it, they might think, "Oh, just go with my friend." That can quickly shock the body, and that cold water shock can set in. But yeah, essentially, just making sure you're staying within your capabilities and not that's why people get into danger generally in the sea. They usually kind of go beyond their level of capability. That can be a reason for them getting into danger.
Yeah, definitely. So going back to the sea, obviously a lot of people will have inflatables. I know the RNLI very often have to go out and chase people on their inflatables, because once you get caught out going out to sea, you're struggling. Then you have things like rip tides and rip currents. I don't know if you're happy to talk about rip tides. It's a little bit out of your.
So I kind of know. I know how they work. I won't say I'm an expert on rip tides, but certainly, that it is something that you kind of need to be aware of if you're swimming in the sea. And again, something that most people don't. They would just go in the sea and think, oh well, I'm just swimming in the sea. I'm fine. It doesn't look like there's any immediate danger, but it can quickly take hold, and you can find yourself getting into trouble. In terms of inflatables, yeah, really, I'm not a massive fan of the rings. The inflatable rings. You see the seats. So for a couple of reasons, like the little babies that can, the babies that can go in the seat with the inflatable hoop round, really not a massive fan of those. Kids can just very easily flip over in one of those, and then they're under the water and in trouble. And it only takes, a couple of seconds for that to happen really quickly. They can drift out. The large rafts and things like that. Again, you can get a few waves, and you can be out past a point where you're comfortable, and you're getting into danger. So going back to the rings and the vests and things like that, life vests are obviously really important. We recommend if you've got a baby or a toddler, woggles or the arm discs, because they don't give them as much buoyancy, so they feel a little bit more of the natural buoyancy, rather than it being an artificial buoyancy, if you will, and then being held up by a vest or a big ring. The rings in particular, they're not really, that sensation that they'll get isn't kind of how they'd feel if they were swimming, or the body position we're looking for when you're swimming. So yeah, we recommend kind of getting children independent on like a woggle or using the discs. That gives them a bit kind of a clearer feel of how they should feel when they're swimming.
Definitely. What should somebody look for a safe swimming location? So an area where if they want to go out swimming, whether it's a swimming pools might be a bit easier what they should look for, but also open water. What should somebody be looking for if it's safe?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, if you're at the beach, if you're abroad, lifeguards, look, basic things. There's big signs up saying no swimming or deep water. That kind of thing is obviously a no go. Supervised swims are a really good way of getting into open water, because it's in a safe environment. The water's been tested. You've got a group of people who you're with, so you never go swimming on your own. Obviously, you've got someone watching you, someone who's experienced, and there's a lot of good. We're very lucky. There's quite a lot of good groups and open water swim spots. So if you are getting into open water swimming, particularly in Chorley, you've got Eccleston Delph, you've got Pennington Flash, you've got a little bit further afield, you've got like Blackpool Wake Park, you've got Capernwray, which is a really lovely swim spot as well. So all those places which are set up specifically for open water swimming is what I'd always recommend. Not obviously not your reservoirs, your rivers, and your lakes. You've got to be really, careful, particularly with some lakes. Fine, but just doing your research before you go and swim, and making sure it's safe and the water's not polluted either.
Yeah, which is that's quite difficult here in the UK at the moment. There's a lot of places that are polluted, and they're not. A lot of our rivers aren't very nice at the moment. But I know that Eccleston Delph and Capernwray, we do a lot of training there at the moment, and they're open water swimmers. They have to wear wetsuits, and they have to wear a float as well, don't they? So it's all about knowing how to do it safely and having the equipment to do it safely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Let me just have a look at my notes. I've lost track of where I'm at.
You all right?
I think I've pretty much gone through the majority of my questions. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. Just to say, the water is such a great thing to be. Swimming is such a great thing to be able to do. It opens up opportunities for so much more. So if you are thinking about, if you've never had lessons as an adult, or if you are thinking about starting your child in lessons, I would really encourage you to do that, because it is such an amazing sport. It's great. It's great for your joints. It's great for fitness. It's non-weight bearing. So all those things are real positives, and it opens up opportunities for so much more. So if you are thinking of learning to swim, then I would, definitely do it. Obviously, I'm biased, but it is such an important life skill.
Definitely. I agree. It's good for your mental health as well as your physical health. We do get people at times saying, "Oh, you're trying to stop fun and trying to stop people swimming." It's totally the opposite. We want people to go out and enjoy the water. It's about doing it safely. What we don't want to do is keep having to go out and search for people and seeing the downside to what that happens. So we do encourage people to use water, but to learn how to do it safely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get you're at the other end of it, and you see that when it's too late, essentially. So, but the work you do as well in kind of preventing that is really good. But we just trying to get that word out, developing stronger swimmers who are safer in the water, and helping as many people as we can.
Definitely. I mean, as a team, we would much rather one day that hopefully will never be needed, and we can just spend our weekends at home with our families and
Yeah,
things. So that's what we're hopefully
prevention.
pushing towards.
Yeah,
Prevention, definitely. And you
prevent.
mentioned the STA earlier, and
Yeah,
you're a member of the STA. That
yeah,
is the Swimming Teachers Association,
that's right.
and people may have seen on our socials that me and Rebecca from Doing It for Dylan we're doing a talk down on this week down in Birmingham at the STA conference about underwater hazards and the dangers. And I believe you're going to be there yourself.
We are, yeah, looking forward to it. I only found out this week actually that you guys were there, so that it'd be nice to actually to see you there. But yeah, we're really looking forward to it. There's lots of different stuff going on. There's a little bit for kind of everything from your lifeguarding, your pool plant, and your swimming teachers. We're both tutors through the STA, myself and my wife Jess, and yeah, we really love that side of it as well. So we'll certainly pick some bits up for that, and then we'll pick up plenty of stuff to go away and work on with the swim school as well.
Brilliant. Okay, well, if you've nothing else that you'd like to mention, I've no other questions. So, are you
Yeah,
happy with? Yeah,
yeah. If anyone does want lessons, then we're Swim Superb. Drop us a message if you want to. If you're not in our area and you want to ask for advice on anything, I'm more than happy to help. Just drop us you can either drop us an email, which is hello@swimsuperb.co.uk, or you can give us a call. We've got a new office number, so let me just check it before make sure I give you the right one. It's 01257 443 476. So you can contact us either way. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Phil, and yeah, thanks
no,
for having me.
thank you for joining, Tom, and it goes out to everyone else. Well, if anyone's got any questions, or I know we have followers across the UK, and if you're looking for somewhere to try and find somewhere to swim, then drop us a message, and we'll see whether we know anywhere or can help you find somewhere where you can go and learn to swim in a safe location. So we're happy to try and help you to do that. So apart from that, thank you to everyone who's joined watching, and whoever watches on catch up. We very much appreciate it, and I think we'll see you on the next one then.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, cheers, Phil.
Thank you, Tom.
Everyone.
We'll see you later. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Good night.
Night.